All right, class, this is just an explanation of your first major essay assignment called the Explication. Now, a poetry explication is an analysis of a poem, but in order, meaning that as you analyze the poem and you write about the poem in your essay, the essay starts with an analysis of the title as the very first sentence in body paragraph 1, and you analyze the poem in order from top to bottom, starting with the title and then the first few lines, and then you break the body paragraph where it logically makes sense and move on to the next few lines. Okay, so just kind of summarize what's stated here for the students who learn better from hearing rather than reading. The idea for your thesis is a combination of two things: what the purpose of the poem is, or its intention, which is, whether it's going to entertain us or whether it has like a specific moral lesson, and the techniques, the main techniques that the author uses to make that powerful and make that come true, make that effective for the reader. Okay, so in your introduction, what you need to have is first context for the reader. You need to tell them in the very first sentence what poem you're analyzing and by what author. And you may use a sentence, maybe two, for just a little background on that author as it relates to the poem. Just don't give a biography of the author unless specific parts of that author's life relate to the understanding of the poem. Okay? So you have your main points in your thesis, and your introduction may be spread over like 3 or 4 lines, 3 or 4 sentences. And so once you introduce the author and the title and give a little summary, a 1-sentence summary of the poem, maybe some background info on the author if it relates to your analysis, and then your multi-sentence thesis, that's your entire introduction. So then you begin your body paragraphs, like I said, with a line-by-line analysis of the poem starting with the title. Now, the most common 2 errors that students make doing this are they summarize the poem instead of analyzing, and they're not thorough enough. They don't talk enough about every line of the poem. I've specifically picked poems for you to choose from that we covered this semester, through discussion posts and that I've posted online. So you won't be doing this poem, but if you remember, this is the divorce poem from the How to Write an Analysis, sentence worksheet. And it's just to show you that a 4-line poem, I can get 900 words out of it. Now, I wrote this example essay of how to do an explication, and it's got some typos and stuff or whatever, so we'll have to go back and fix that. But just to explain, okay, so here's how I did the introduction. The first line lets us know that Billy Collins is known for his humor. That's how it relates to the poem. But in this poem, it's very dark humor. So in that second sentence, I give you what the subject of the poem is, the title of the poem, and a summary of it. The last sentence is a thesis that talks about the point of the poem and the main techniques being used. Okay, so if you'll notice in my first body paragraph here, I go straight into the title. And I know we can't talk about the structure of the poem, like the first stanza and the second stanza, and how there's 4 lines with a stanza break in between. It's impossible to talk about all those things, everything in order from top to bottom. So if you'll notice, what I went ahead and did was talked about the first 2 lines stanza and how that's going to come into play later. But if you'll notice my analysis, I misspelled the word poem here. I guess I did the southern slang. We're going to read a poem now. But anyways, so I guess you'll notice that, for instance, I talk about the title for 3 sentences, 3-4 sentences, just analyzing the title, and then there's 2 lines in the first stanza. And, then I talk about once and the comma, here for 3 sentences, how it functions, how it works. And that's what you've got to get at. So basically, you have to be very thorough with your analysis and analyze everything, Spend a lot of time here talking about spoons, and I probably could squeeze out some more if I had to, because students always point out things I've never thought about. All right, So I decided that maybe the first body paragraph dealt with the title in the first line, so I made my second body paragraph deal with the second line and the forks and all those implications, okay? Uh, you know, okay. So if you'll notice next, for the structure, talk about basically how the stanza break comes into play. Now there are 4 characters, there are 4 lines. At first it was the man and the wife, or husband, I guess husband, wife, whatever. And then it's, the man or the husband and the lawyer, and the other spouse and the lawyer. And it's, 2 lines and 2 lines. The granite table is kind of the stanza break in between. So you can kind of see how logically I'm going from kind of top to bottom in this poem. Now I want you to notice that there is no conclusion for this poem. This is in fact the last body paragraph. Okay. One of the things that you do with an explication is you don't write a last body paragraph. You don't write a conclusion. You sum the whole poem up and all the main ideas up, from your thesis, and the last couple of lines of analysis of the last stanza. All right? So hopefully maybe that helps you a little bit as you pick your poem.